So today we're going to do a movie review. Don't Look Up. Since everything needs a rating today, I'll start with a rating. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 6.3. It's a Netflix movie, and it's meant to criticize a lack of action against global warming. I'll just give a very brief summary of the plot. Spoiler alert. So, the film is about scientists who find that a meteorite is about to destroy the Earth. And then they approach the US president to act on this, and they devise some form of plan to shoot down the meteorite with nuclear bombs, but that somehow fails and then the Earth is destroyed. It's meant as a political satire against climate change deniers, but more importantly against inaction by the leading politicians, specifically by the political right, the Trumpists or the populists, and also against big corporations, especially big tech, because of their greed, somehow mess up the whole situation. And that's also how the film has been understood by basically all the movie reviews that I've read. And the reviews are mixed. Some praise it, some don't, some find it funny, some don't. Let me first talk about what's good about the movie. I think it is philosophically comparable with The Matrix, which is of course a very famous philosophical movie. I'm talking about the original one, not about the sequels. The Matrix describes a core aspect of contemporary society, namely its virtuality. And I do think that Don't Look Up describes another aspect of contemporary society that is actually basically equally important, namely that world society consists of different systems. And I think the movie does this really well. Nevertheless, I also think, and I'll get to this later in the video today, that it falls short of The Matrix big time as well. Well, anyways, again, the movie's main theme is, spoiler alert again, that scientists who discover the meteor are unable to communicate this truth to the world. They try to get the attention of politics, and then they try to get the attention of the media and thereby inform the world about it. But this somehow all fails. So an action becomes impossible. So in this way, again, I think the movie shows a central feature of contemporary society. It shows these four distinct social systems: politics, media, economy through the big corporations, and science. And it shows how each of these four systems functions differently, and yet how all the four systems are entangled with one another. But again, although being entangled with one another, or perhaps precisely because of that, they cannot act unitedly. In order to analyze this a little further, please give me a minute to discuss the basic theoretical idea behind this, which is social systems theory. Social systems theory is strongly influenced by biology, and it looks at society from an ecological perspective. So let's compare it, for instance, to the ecosystem of a forest, which consists of various systems, such as, for instance, the flora, the plants, like the trees or the mushrooms. And then in addition to that, you have the fauna, the animals, like whatever, the deer and the worms and so forth. And then you have other systems like the water, the hydration, like rain and whatever, water underground and these things. So, and each system is in the environment of the other, and they have some sort of symbiotic relationship with one another. And in a similar way, we can also view the human body, not as just semblance of individual parts, like whatever, 10 fingers plus 10 toes and 2 arms and 2 legs and so forth, but instead, again, as consisting of different systems, like, for instance, the cardiovascular system, the immune system, the digestive system, and so on. Now, according to social systems theory, we can look at society in a similar way, and I think Don't Look Up shows this, right? We have here the different systems, again, politics, media, economy, and science. As opposed to biological systems, of course, they do not actually live, but they communicate. And each of them communicates in a different way and takes on different functions in society, right? The economy makes money, produces profit. The media produce information, they generate attention. The political system educates power, generates power through, for instance, votes, elections, all different forms of communication. Science produces data, and on the basis of these data produces truth. So we have all these different forms of communication, each of them fulfills a different function, and nevertheless, or precisely therefore, they somehow can't be centrally coordinated. So that's what's called functional differentiation. Because of this functional differentiation, what emerges is some form of hyper-complex society, a highly functional society. And that's really a distinctive feature of modernity. That's already been described with a different theoretical background in mind, for instance, by Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto. I often think of this particular sentence, quoting it here. It has accomplished wonders. He's talking about capitalism, but we can, in a broader sense, think here about functional differentiation in modern society. So it has accomplished wonders far surpassing Egyptian pyramids, Roman aqueducts, and Gothic cathedrals. It has conducted expeditions that put in the shade all former exoduses of nations and crusades. So modern society has been extremely productive, not only, this is what Marx is talking about here, in the economy, producing these huge riches and this kind of material wealth. In addition to that, it also, as we now see, produces a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and also politically a lot of power. And this is really unlike anything in pre-modern times. If we analyze this hyper-complexity and hyper-productivity, we can see two seemingly contradictory features. Number one, autopoiesis, which can be defined as some form of independent self-generation. And number two, symbiosis, which can be understood as some form of interdependent co-evolution of social systems. And again, I think Don't Look Up shows this very clearly. First, let's talk about autopoiesis, social systems, the ones I talked about, as some sort of selfish omnivores that devour anything that comes their way. So we can say that these modern social systems, like the economy, like the media, become so powerful, so productive, precisely because, like some sort of selfish omnivores, they feed anything outside themselves into their bodies. And this is what makes them autopoetical, self-generating, self-regenerating. And this is precisely what Don't Look Up shows. It shows how different social systems use a major crisis, a meteor in the movie, climate change in reality, to feed their own autopoiesis, their own self-generation. So the capitalist economy commodifies everything, be it a meteor or climate change or actually whatever, your education, your health, your data. The media generate attention for anything. Again, a meteor, climate change, but also whatever, cat pictures, celebrities' love lives, or philosophy like we are doing right now for that matter. Politics politicizes anything, like a meteor, climate change, or people's sex and gender for that matter. And science produces always disputed and thereby evolving truth about anything, again, meteor, climate change, anything else, you name it. Now, secondly, however, there is this symbiosis, this entanglement of the system, which is also something that Don't Look Up shows very clearly. So to use the previous examples, just as the trees in the forest need water and animals to survive, the movie shows how politics needs money from the economy. It needs attention from the media. It needs facts from science. In turn, the media need politics or science to produce information, to produce news. And they need, of course, money to operate. In turn, again, the economy uses media, uses politics, uses science to make profit. Science, in the end, sort of sells its truth to the economy. Again, also to politics, also to the media. Because, of course, academics also want money, want attention, and want power. So, by the way, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So, in this way, high complexity and high productivity is achieved. But it comes with a price. The price is that there is no central controlling system. There is no governing system, no single rationality that is in charge. Again, using one of the examples from the beginning, just as no single system, whatever, the cardiovascular system, the immune system, or the digestive system, steers the body, and no single system, whatever, plants, animals, hydration, controls the forest. Also, no single system, neither politics, neither media, neither the economy, neither science, rules society. So this is what the movie shows very well. However, at the same time, it uses a very different narrative that directly contradicts the systemic view. And this other narrative is what I like to call the Enlightenment myth of control. The movie suggests that there is some sort of scientific technological solution to this environmental problem, the meteor or the climate crisis, by suggesting that the meteor can just simply be nuked, right? And if only the government takes proper control, and if only the media inform everyone about it properly. So in this way, Don't Look Up suggests this idea of rational self-control of society, right? First, the idea that enlightened science can control nature through rational technology, right? In this case, in the movie, again, the nuking of the meteor. And secondly, that enlightened politics, if it functions properly, can control society through some form of rational self-government of the people, right? Again, the movie suggests if only the politicians would properly take charge, the crisis would be solved. And then thirdly, there is the idea that enlightened media disseminates knowledge to everyone and makes everyone an informed and rational citizen, right? And this is also what the movie suggests. If only the media would work properly, then everyone would look up and understand the problem correctly. In this way, the movie presents contradictory and actually incompatible explanations why society cannot deal well with an environmental crisis just as we're facing it right now, right? While it actually shows how society consists of these different systems without a controlling center and with very different rationalities, with very different forms of communicating, yeah? While it shows this co-evolving systems view of society, at the same time, it also suggests this very different rational self-control view by basically implying that politics, media, economy, science are not really functioning well, but they could function well. And if they would only do their job properly, then taking rational control would be possible. So the bad thing about the movie is that it does neither understand nor reflect on this incompatibility. It also doesn't really understand that actually the systems view, at least as I see it, provides a much better explanation of contemporary society than the rational self-control view. There's a second problem with the movie, which simply put, is its hypocrisy. The title of the movie, Don't Look Up, suggests that we can simply look up and then see the facts, and it encourages people to do so, right? As if there was something like an objective perspective on actual reality, independent and outside of the selfish reproduction of the social systems and outside of their entanglement with one another. So it somehow suggests that the systems can transcend themselves, go beyond themselves. However, the movie performatively contradicts this very hypothesis, because it functions actually in the same way as the media that it critiques within itself, right? One segment of the movie is a criticism, a satirical criticism of a TV news show which presents the scientists who have discovered the meteor. And just like it accuses this TV show within the movie itself, Don't Look Up, also doesn't, of course, simply share the facts, simply share the information. It too creates a sort of pop narrative around the problem that centrally involves like a love story, romantics, and other means, humor and so forth, to provide a story that somehow, of course, then distracts from the actual problem. Just like the fictional TV show in the movie, it too operates with star power, right? With a focus on celebrities, right? We have all these famous actors in there, Leonardo DiCaprio playing the scientist and many other famous actors as well. Importantly, it also uses the very same kind of political polarization that it shows in the TV show and the movie to create attention. And thereby what it actually does, it also intensifies social conflict by reframing the actual environmental problem, the meteor or climate change, in terms of social good-bad divisions. It translates the environmental problem into a social, political, and a moral division. So in the end, the movie does again the same thing that it accuses the fictional TV show of. It uses the climate change theme to grab attention and to generate profit for Netflix. That is, for the big tech corporations, which again are another primary focus of the movie. It pretends to be an outside criticism of big tech, while itself being a production by big tech to make money for big tech. In this sense, also importantly, it misrepresents science, because actual global warming is not like a meteorite that can be simply nuked. The problem isn't that simple. So in this way, Don't Look Up is not actually what it pretends to be, namely something like a green movie. Nor does it present an accurate picture of global warming. It produces a sort of green media narrative to make money and to create a sort of green profile for Netflix. So that's why Don't Look Up is also very different from The Matrix. Matrix, again, just the original one, was a really good movie, and it's rightfully considered something like a philosophical classic, because it shows the virtuality of the modern world and reflects its own participation in this virtuality. And Don't Look Up is not such a great movie because, to summarize, it conflates two incompatible views of society, the rational control narrative versus the co-evolving systems view. And then secondly, it criticizes media and society as a whole for not acting on a crisis, but only exploiting the crisis for its own interests, while doing just the same. That's it.
So after talking so much, what is the purpose of this? What can we do? What do you want?
Well, this is a philosophical movie review. I'm not really offering a solution to the problem of global warming. The point is, like, first of all, to show that the movie does a very good job in showing precisely why the problem is so difficult to be solved.
Then why do you think this movie is not that great? Why?
Because it spreads the same unhelpful control narrative that is supposed to help us solve global warming, but actually does not help us. We need to understand how a complex, systemically based society works in order to understand better why it's not easy to deal with global warming. Once we understand the social mechanism that prevent us from finding an easy answer to deal with global warming, maybe, hopefully, we can find a more complex answer to deal with global warming.